Hello guys, we have a short interview with the two interviewers, Dangun and Bito. So the first game was against Kingzone and Gen.G. And there are a lot of weird compositions in the first game of today. So you know, both teams had a lot of choices to make, and they had a lot of creative compositions. You know, utilizing Mordekaiser as an ADC to snowball the team comp is quite a significant strategy right now. So you know, let's have a look at the highlight. So Alistair goes to the bush and checks if there are any walls with the lens. Okay, let's rewind. And now Sinjao goes into the bush, and the ganking was overall successful.
바로 그 와드가 시간 때문에 지워지는 바람에 그 찰나의 순간을 알고 있었던 킹존이 좋은 플레이를 보여줬다고 볼 수가 있겠죠.
So Kingzone made a very good gank in the early game. So you know, it could have been prepared, but they were really caught off guard. So you know, this just shows how important wards are, ward control is in LCK. And, you know, it just gotta praise how well they prepared the gank. You know, we're seeing a lot of melee champs in the bot lane now, like Yasuo ADC and Mordekaiser ADC. The Alistair Mordekaiser both went home and recalled to buy boots first, which was kind of weird. And the Skullcraft fighting is like getting more significant right now in the LCK. And Mordekaiser is very good at pushing the lane and is able to secure Dragon objectives pretty well.
네, 그 이후의 아무 장면은 뭐 여러분들이 아시다시피 그 스노우볼을 계속 굴려나간 킹존이 무난한 승리를 가져갔는데요.
And after that, Kingzone just snowballs their advantages for their win.
오늘도 역시 좀 재밌는 반응들이 많이 있습니다.
그렇습니다. 이제 워낙 바텀라인에서 다양한 챔피언들이 나오다
You know, there are a lot of various champions coming out in the bottom lane right now, like Brown and Yasuo ADC and Mordekaiser ADC.
약간 신나는 그런 느낌도 뱀픽 타이밍에 잡혔기도 했었고요.
네, 그래서 자막으로 나오고 있습니다.
So now let's have a look at the subtitle.
진보대 보수의 배치 아니었냐.
So you know, the subtitle says Kingzone plays a progressive composition, while Gen.G on the other hand plays kind of like a old style composition. So you know, the current meta is like which side is gonna play the off meta composition and which side is gonna play the meta composition. So you know, people are suggesting to how about change Crown into the ADC position. You know, this man is saying bring back ADC meta. You know, no more Mordekaiser, no more of those Yasuo things. Bring back ADC. Okay, the breaking news. You can't play ADC in front of Mordekaiser. And this sums up the short interview by Dangun and Bito.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to LCK. It's going to be Cuz that grabs the MVP for game number 1. 82% kill contribution, but man, it was his domination of the early game, that first gank working out so damn well.
But the first gank was later than you might have expected. The level 2
yeah, like 8 minutes, something like that, right?
Exactly, it was a little bit slower. It kind of flowed through, but there certainly was decisive when it needed to be made. Look at that, nice transition from his player shot into the live cam. Cuz, kind of a surprise to some people that he's playing today, but with Peanut unable to scrim with the team, and also the mixed results and fortunes of Cuz and Peanut at MSI. Cuz, the Longshu Gaming Royal Roader at the end of 2017 summer, gets another chance to come in, and so far so good for him.
Yeah, and Cuz was actually undefeated in the last season as well, as we're seeing another one of these ganks, and it was a decent attempt from Cuvée. The 3-man knockup was nice, but that flash just out of turret range is exactly what Cuz needed, and from that point on, it felt like the snowball was already rolling downhill. But Papa, I feel like we should probably address the elephant in the room, which is Gen.G's composition was atrocious.
It definitely, there were parts of it that could come together, but as a whole, where they were out-skirmished in basically every lane, Ornn might have some priority on Jace early, but wasn't ever felt in this game. The 2v2 was a losing one. They needed ways to bridge the gap to late game, and that means you need a winner somewhere. And there was no one who was really, this guy is going to definitely get a big lead. Unfortunately, it was too greedy. It was too late game in a meta where the game is decided by 20 minutes. So while the Cogmore could have worked in a slightly different comp, they put all their eggs in the late game. The late game never came, so predictably, Mordekaiser and friends take it down.
Yep, so we'll see whether Gen.G are going to be able to turn it around as we move into Champion Select for game number 2. Kingzone DragonX certainly still with a whole host of other cards in this deck, of course, but we are going to have a change. Haru's going to make his way in for game number 2. Ambition, the Skarner, wasn't exactly fantastic, but I have a feeling the loss of that game was a team effort. And Haru was known originally for his aggression. Can he bring that back?
I just feel like if he goes back to having the shared champion pool with Ambition like he did in spring, the answer is no. But if it goes back to Camille, aggressive picks like the Rengar, then definitely that could be a new, fresh look. And it's out with the old, in with the aggression. This is a meta where you need to scrap. And Haru had that amazing spring season last year where he showed he could scrap with the best of them. We'll see if that does actually show in this particular champ select. It will be Fly keeping his spot. We'll see where the priorities go for Gen.G, because you need to rip up at least 3/4 of the draft you put out in game number 1.
Yeah, you certainly do, but I love the idea of seeing Haru here in this game. His Graves was good back in the day, but his Rengar, which I think at one point over the last couple of weeks in solo queue has been like 59% win rate, just absolutely ridiculous. The champion has certainly been taking some names as well as some teeth.
BDD taking the name of his old substitute player. Remember, in spring of last year, the starter was Fly, and BDD was watching on, not getting a single game in a Longshu team that struggled. If I remember correctly, the moment BDD started playing, things got good, so Fly has a lot to really show for himself. Has been that long time, over a year, around 400 days away from the LCK for Fly. Not the best first impression, but it's best of 3, not a best of 1. There's still time.
Yeah, there is, and they can adjust the draft, change things up, make something new, and Haru going to offer a very different flavor to this draft as well, as we do move straight in to the bans. As got things switched up just a little bit, but that is going to be Gen.G on your blue side.
Some kinks to work out in the augmented reality champ select that we're bringing you at OGN.
Things get confusing in augmented reality. I mean, I've got my watch. I can still let you know exactly what is going on. But yeah, that is going to be Gen.G on the blue side. Zoe going to be banned away, though. There's Graves once again.
A Gen.G ban, so it seems like Fly doesn't want to be piloting something like the Blanc to attack the Zoe. The Zoe does represent a pretty safe blind pick. In fact, both the safest of blind picks in Zoe and Aurelia. They are the mid laners to blind pick are taken away. We'll see what the prize is. Remember, it was a very different game 1 draft than yesterday's games. There was no Taric or Master Yi ban. Was the ability to leave open some strong things. No one will be leaving open Lucian. His last 10 Lucian games plays 9-1. He's been dominating on the Lucian, but it seems like Kingzone say, we don't want to lose to the cheese strat du jour of the Master Yi and Tart. They ban out that Yi, but does leave open the Camille, which traditionally has been a Haru pick.
Yeah. And it looked like Nocturne and Shen were being considered right there. I'm not entirely sure what is going on, though. I think maybe we've just fallen out of the draft for a moment. No, we haven't. We're coming back.
We wanted to augment reality.
We were just checking out the coaches for a bit, as we do have, a little bit more augmentation on the reality. That is going to be Nocturne and Shen, though. Locked away just fine.
The Globals Special, bringing back Team World Elite from Season 2 days. Getting all the Globals in there. Could be a Shen support. It's likely to be a jungle Nocturne, but mid lane Nocturne is being played with more prevalence than ever before. in recent days. Of course, fellow European caster Verdi is a big fan of that one.
Yep.
It got him to Diamond, so who knows what it can do in the LCK, Atlas?
Exactly. What could it do in the hands of BDD in the mid lane against Fly? No one knows. Is Swain being considered? Bit of a harkening back there if they do decide to take that one away, but a lot of protection being picked up as Aurelion Sol. The pick away from Fly as the Dragon is picked up for BDD.
And Gen.G actually allows this to happen by taking the Lulu and the Tahm Kench in the same round.
Yeah.
It does heavily suggest mid lane Lulu, and thus they can take Aurelion, they can roam. Aurelion Sol was just behind the 8-ball. It feels like in recent times. It was a pick that I heard that BDD was practicing around the time of MSI, never brought it out at that tournament. Cool to see it here.
Yeah, really excited to see what he's going to be able to do, and that continues the global pressure that they have given the roaming potential of the Dragon. They can just be everywhere.
Right now, if you're a side lane, you're just like, well, this is rubbish.
Yeah, exactly.
If this is solo queue and you're picking in the 4th round on the left side, you're like, maybe I'll take this one off and
Thankfully,
take a break.
they picked away the Tahm Kench, otherwise things could have been really, really nutty.
Well,
oh, we need Pantheon bottom lane. Pantheon Twisted Fate bottom lane!
It could happen, and Kingzone have always been known to play a lot of engage. They've played the Globals before. If you remember, we had the Everyone's an Initiator game where Nocturne was on Peanut, and it was Prey on Ashe that time, and everyone could just hard commit around the map. A lot of commitment already on the side of Kingzone. These guys want to get married as soon as possible. But on the side of Kingzone, they haven't selected a bot lane. They're considering a Mordekaiser.
Yep, Mordekaiser being considered, and I like that one a lot, to be honest. They ban away 2 of the best AD carries at the moment. Only the Ezreal really standing out for what Gen.G can pick up, but Ezreal compositions with all that attack speed isn't necessarily the way you really want to play that one out. The build up the Ezreal comps haven't necessarily worked, and there is the Mordekaiser locked in. Lucian is, of course, banned away, so this is pretty much Ruler's only option if he wants range AD on the bottom side of the map.
When it comes to those top meta picks, I have to agree with you. There is not a lot of big picks open. The Kai'Sa, Kog'Maw, and the Lucian taken away. You want to avoid any Infinity Edge builds, and thus you want to go for the tier champions or the Rageblade champions. Going to be a tier champion in the Ezreal. But will they pull any fast ones? We think we know where everyone is going. We're thinking that jungle or top lane. Camille jungle is the heavy expectation because of the level 2 power. Certainly could be visiting bot lane and trying to gank the Mordekaiser. Get something good happening there. But let's get the confirmation from Gen.G. Does look like it will be the jungle Camille like we suggested. And Cho'Gath top lane seems to be the assignment for Khan.
Well, Khan thinking about heading towards the Darius top lane, which sounds like a really awful time if you're Cho'Gath. And if you have a look at this composition, just looks like an awful time for everyone if you're going against them.
How do you feel about range champions? Kingzone says they suck. 0 of them other than the Aurelion Sol. 1 semi-range champion, 4 melee champions, final destination. It's a Dunkmaster comp coming through from Kingzone DragonX. They're just interested in getting a pentakill for Khan.
And it shouldn't be too difficult as well, because Prey can just press an R button on someone and then Khan can do the same thing. Meanwhile, BDD stands in the middle of the fight, I guess, just with circles going around, with stars going around him. This is looking filthy from Kingzone. Doesn't look like they've changed things too much at all. And the scary thing is that Gen.G look like they also haven't really changed anything at all. The Ezreal composition with the double supports is not necessarily what you want. I would have thought that a Varus might have even worked out a little better here, but I mean, that's going back to knowledge of previous patches.
Feels like OGN's in the Gen.G camp. They got AD written next to that bot lane roll. Come on, OGN. Mordekaiser doesn't build none of that AD.
He used to build Trinity Force, you know, for a little bit.
He had a hot second there, but Kingzone are bringing it new, and Gen.G are trying to say what's old is new. Couldn't do it in game number 1, but you saw where it could have happened. They had more gold. The snowball happens for Kingzone again. The 2-0 is looming pretty ominously, Atlas.
Yeah, well, Mordekaiser Shen is going to be that bottom lane, and you spoke about the fact that things could have looked a lot different if that was a 0-2 Mordekaiser heading towards the mid-game, and Camille can certainly be the thing to do that. So, ladies and gentlemen, game number 2. Is it just going to be a repeat of game 1, or can Gen.G fix up their problems and sort things out moving into this one? We'll see if we can get to a game number 3 right now. Gen.G fans certainly waking up as we have a beautiful view of Summoner's Rift. BDD and Fly, a very similar matchup to last time around as we have a look at the mid lane. And I got a few chills with that opening video with Crown though.
Crown certainly not here, but we do get what is a very strong story of Fly against the old squad, who since he left has gone on to win everything domestically. They won both LCK Summer 2017 and LCK Spring 2018. And you know, he'll feel like BDD stole his lunch, and now he's stolen his dragon. So we're getting pretty personal here between BDD and Fly, who was as big a resident Aurelion Sol player as there ever has been in the history of Korean League of Legends.
And also, is there ever a champion as a mid laner that you go, oh no, not again? More than Lulu? I feel like Lulu is the ultimate, oh, I have to play this one. Certainly has been in the past. As Fly will be taking a lot of orbs here, but thankfully Pix is going to help him out with these auto attacks.
And of course, a lot of kind of tricky lanes for Aurelion Sol that he just goes and backs a million times and tries to shrug off the damage with corrupting potion stacks. Always kind of been the way with the dragon. It's when the roams start that things get pretty scary. The Aurelion Sol also kind of picks up the slack pre-6 for Cuz, because Cuz wants to focus on farming. Aurelion Sol can make a couple of visits to side lanes, and then Nocturne will of course come online when the darkness is available. He's still level 1, so he can't be too cheeky. Notice it is an Ignite Lulu, which is the right choice against Aurelion Sol, because always the chance he gets a bit too frisky when it comes to the early game and might go down.
Well, speaking of frisky, this is exactly what we wanted out of Haru. An early level 2 gank here as the exhaust. Already down onto Gorilla, and Devour used on the Mordekaiser. Has to flash immediately and can't get the W off in time to get the health for his Shen, and that's Gorilla falling.
Sport Shen, a much riskier choice when you're playing with the Mordekaiser. So very nicely done by Gen.G. It was delayed. It wasn't one cap level 2 gank. It was a delayed level 2 gank, but big advantage from Haru. Gotta say, we need to see aggression from him. We're seeing it.
Yeah, he's gonna get the flash stun as well onto BDD, and that's back-to-back kills for Haru. What did we ask from him? We wanted the aggression. We've got it already. 2-0 at 3 minutes.
The Master Yi ban left open the first big Camille. You and I were under no ambiguity it would go to Haru. They have Cuvée, one of the best Camille players in the world, but Jungle Camille is where the story is at. And so far, it's been dominance from Haru.
Just ridiculous, and you can see Cuvée even able to get a shove onto Khan here on the top side of the map. That wave is probably going to push back. Might mean that Haru has an opportunity to get up there as well, but no flash available. I have a feeling he's probably going to sit back and get some farming done now. Cuz certainly doing the same thing as well, just calmly clearing things out, but he's got a very big Camille that he really has to worry about now.
Haven't seen a jungle go from coast to coast and get a successful gank in one fell swoop in a long time.
Yeah.
At the score a couple of years ago against SKT in the semifinals of the LCK, the last one I can remember. Difficult to do, but 2 lanes now influenced by the Camille. Already, Ping's level 3, job's done in many ways. Can slow himself down, can visit that level 6. Kaz was hoping Aurelion Sol would do the favor and keep the tempo pre-6, but a lot to live up for this Nocturne when that Paranoia is available.
Yeah, Kaz, of course, is the most classic farm the heck till 6 as quickly as possible champion that you can possibly get. So Haru understanding that not a lot of opportunities for successful counter ganks coming out of the Nocturne. Apprehend comes in here as Cuvée takes a little bit of poke, and the minion's going to help out, but Khan finds himself in a position where Haru could possibly offer some trouble. Level advantage here for Cuz, considering his farming speed. And that will be the Rift Scuttler going towards the Nocturne, which is certainly good news for Kingzone.
Because they have lane priority with the Darius. Darius walks down, that's why it's not the level advantage so much as seeing Darius left lane that Haru thinks, well, maybe a better time will be had when it comes to Scuttle. Does allow Cuz to continue his way towards the level 6 mark. Again, game not decided anyways. I'm excited to see what Khan decides in terms of item, because we saw the Trinity Force favored by Linderang from Hanwha Life Esports yesterday on our last Darius picker, and usually a phage item of some sort coming through on the champion.
Yeah, and also he picked it in a snowballing game, which I absolutely loved. I love, Snowball Trinity Force feels great no matter what, but he also picked it when they were losing, so really feeling like it's the standard item. The Trinity Force into Sterix has always been phenomenal to give that extra base damage to the Sheen proc. But, see what the school of thought is here for Khan. Might be a little bit more AD focused.
can talk about Keystones a little bit and the choice of runes as well. Teleport Ezreal comes out this game. We saw an Exhaust Ezreal yesterday, which was a bit of a different one, but that was with facing an enemy Nocturne. Notice we have an enemy Nocturne and there is no Exhaust on rule. It's something to note, but he does have a lot of lane presence. When it comes to Keystones, we do see once again the Lethal Tempo Nocturne has become the norm after MLXG started favoring it towards the end of LPL Spring.
Yep, seems like the standard option.
Guardian Mordekaiser is the norm. We see it in solo queue a lot, and it does free up Gorilla to go Aftershock for his engages.
Yeah, it makes me a little bit sad. I don't quite like the Resolve Tree Mordekaiser as much, but it has certainly been the more popular choice. There's definitely a lot of control underneath this turret for Ruler, who's landing these Qs onto Gorilla one after the other. Wow, how did that one even get in there?
Threading them through, but you don't respect Nocturne pre-6, and you have already blown the flash early and gotten the kill, so you're feeling super confident with the huge item lead. It's Tier Sheen against nothing from the Mordekaiser because of the teleport, and, well, we're calling in friends, Atlas.
Yep, everyone's roaming down. There's going to be 4 men underneath this turret. The teleport was already used by Khan. He can't get down there, and BDD nowhere near this fight either. Prey is going to die instantly. Cuz taken down under the turret, and this is looking like a game number 3 already.
Really nicely done by Gen.G snowballing around the bot. With Haru, they're so much more aggressive, fitting the meta like they need to. Maybe the only counterpoint will be Khan getting a lead in top, but that hasn't been established yet. With Gorilla leaving the lane, I thought they would perhaps pull back, but they're greedy here. And remember, Nocturne has spent the majority of this game topside. They don't have any defensive vision. Their Aurelion Sol is not roaming. They have no business being on the turret.
Yep, just silly, really. But it's not over till she's over. Maybe I got a little bit overexcited because it's 7.5 minutes in, 4 kills. Isn't the be-all and end-all because the map control needs to be there as well. And that tower on the bottom side of the map, you may have thought that it would have gone down lower, but the backs came in from Gen.G, and they're only able to get it down to about 2/3 health. So map control is where this game is going to be won, and there are still things for Kingzone to gather. Remember, there's a whole lot of globals they have available to them, so anytime can often just create themselves a man advantage.
This lead, people will look and say it's a second game where you're picking a marksman. What's different? Big story was they needed a playmaker. They didn't have one in game number 1. The Skarner jungle cannot do what Camille can do. But also, if Haru is in his best form, the sort of aggression he's been shown to pull out in previous seasons is something that Ambition has been unable to do. So it's the perfect pairing of champion and also player who in form has dictated the early game. And now, Kingzone really have to find a steadier because we saw Mordekaiser from ahead picking up all the Drakes, making life hell for Gen.G. Mordekaiser from behind doesn't really pick up much at all.
No, it's a pretty horrible time, to be honest, but he will still have that level advantage on the bottom side that we talk about every time with Mordekaiser. So in the 2v2, still should be okay with the Ninja Tabi picked up, especially. Gorilla just having a woeful time, though, just really doesn't have too many options. Sitting on, you know, Targons and a Rejuve feed.
It's the greediest of the champion choices, in my opinion, is the Shen. Very, very low lane presence against a ranged champion. Tahm Kench, decent lane presence as well. Already getting pushed out a second time from the bot lane. They'll lose their turret here, and especially if we do see the full roam down from Lulu and Camille. Biggest problem for Kingzone is actually, if you look at the minimap, those control wards, they have a direct line of 4 saying, hey, you cannot pass this area. You have no business being on the bot side of the map. And that's a significant problem for giving the Mordekaiser any sort of help.
Yeah, and it's what we used to call the Talia warding, and certainly works out exactly the same for Aurelion Sol. BDD not able to get any roams towards the bottom side because he's getting shoved in over and over again as well. And Prey has no business being here underneath this turret.
Has a
3
control
members
ward
down
behind. Knows he's not being dived just this second, but the vision range of that ward isn't massive. Go down at any time. Solo gold to Ruler. CoreJJ happy to just hang back and be there for a devour. Once you get that item build going, and the Mana Moon and more is just on the way.
Oh yeah, it's getting real scary. We said get behind Ruler makes a lot of sense for Gen.G. He's always been an incredible player. This is looking like his game to win. See, when he goes back home, what he is going to be able to pick up, like you say, the Mana Mune certainly going to be there, but how much of a Trinity Force can he already complete at 2-0-1? Most CS in the game.
Usually this game hasn't gone from bad to worse to the max. If you look at this game closely, we could see 2 people in the Darius lane, and then even Darius' laning phase is trivialized. He has a fiercely melee champion compared to the Cho'Gath, who has ranged farming. So lane assignments get trickier, options get trickier. The gold lead, 3,300 is not game-defining, but at 11 minutes it certainly is on the upper echelon, and the Drake being off the map as an objective does frustrate Prey. They do have good engage. They do have Shen Nocturne, which is the way Griffin got back into game 2 of that series, making those big engage plays. But outside of that, with BDD, a lane-only Aurelion Sol, what was looking like a Dunkmaster comp for now is just a comp that has to wait and choose their spot.
Yeah. See whether they can actually do it. Side of Kingzone, 3,000 gold. Currently the lead for Gen.G. Kingzone moving themselves towards this mid lane and going to ignore the Rift Scuttler there as well. They really want to try and get turret damage while they can. And in fact, the Rift Herald doing a fair bit of damage here to Gen.G as Kingzone looking to try and pick this one up. BDD getting control of this river and Prey moving over before Ruler's able to get there. Teleport now going to come in, but Khan, he wants to start off this fight. Ruler spots him, and he's going to get some damage in there as they are able to take that one away. Shelly goes down. Are they going to actually be able to pick it up? Paranoia comes in, good exhaust comes in, but there's the ultimate from Haru, and he's just going to be able to get rid of Prey. Haru goes golden as well and keeps himself alive, flashes to get out of the way, and that's the hook shot, and he survives. It is finally a kill coming in, but the Darius is dead, and BDD, the only damage remaining here, and he's going to go down. Not a lot of options here for Gorilla, and he's dead, and that is a very early ace for Gen.G, 9-1.
Close to a perfect ace. Only one person goes down. Only Cuvée on the Cho'Gath. The stopwatch was so pivotal. It stopped the reset from coming through from Khan, and his second use of the ultimate didn't lead to any fruit. Gen.G get everything, and now they're going to get the top lane turret as well.
Absolute genius buy from Haru there as well, knowing that a mid-game fight is going to happen, and having that stopwatch for it was just beautiful.
And Haru's other beautiful moment, he got the smite as well. It's Cuvée that dies with the Rift Herald picked up. The commitment comes on to Prey, who's all alone. Shen ultimate level 1 isn't going to help him. Can't allow the Mordekaiser to get that Ghost. The Ghost, of course, one of the reasons they were able to pick up that victory in game number 1. And from there, it's just cleanup. And everyone from Kingzone frustrated. The use of the smite, the stopwatch, the little things are really what allowed Haru, after the big things in the early game, started the snowball for Gen.G.
Yeah, and wow, if the Shadow Dash had been available, if the Taunt had been available a little bit earlier for Gorilla as well, it could have been that BDD got a few more of those orbs to do damage, but the what-ifs aren't what you can be focusing on here at this point, because 2 turrets to 0, 9-1 in kills. Gen.G making it look like this relatively standard-looking comp is how you play this meta.
But it's little adjustments that have had big impacts in the game. We've already outlined Haru a couple of times. And now, you look at the side of Kingzone and their items in kind of the comical position we were saying about Ruler in the previous game. Consider the Mordekaiser, who looks like a support Mordekaiser, working slowly for a Rylai's. It's Trinity Force and Mana Move for Ezreal. It's a massive Ezreal.
Well, now it's a dead Khan on the bottom side of the map as well. Devour used aggressively by Core JJ. Just eats him up, delivers him for dinner to Ruler.
Ruler is just a monster. He is the strongest person on the Rift by a country mile, with the free boots complemented by Mana Moon and Trinity Force at 14 minutes. Yeah, at 13 minutes, he is just so strong. They pile down with the Rift Herald. Mordekaiser's going to try to meet that. Rylai's only now completed. No Rod of Ages yet, even for the Aurelion Sol. This looks like a training game for Gen.G.
Yeah, this is just ludicrous. Prey going to try and defend from Chelly on the bottom side of the map, but I have a feeling her charge did way too much damage to that turret, and they are likely to just get rotated on here as Prey moves over, but takes a lot of damage from Cuvée as he's standing under the turret. Prey tries to get in there. Children of the Grave is in. Paranoia goes down, and now Kingzone going for one last-ditch effort. Oh my god, Ruler's damage onto Prey is just insane, and he can't get enough work done with that Harvester of Sorrows. Kingzone lose their Mord and should lose this turret on the next wave.
Ruler walks back up. Every single Mystic shot, a dagger through the heart of the Kingzone fans. 15 minutes into the game, the gold lead has ballooned to 8,000. The snowball gold is selfishly going all the way onto Ruler, as you would want it. You were a Gen.G fan, the shining light in spring of this year. They back away, another inner turret is cleaned up. Feels like the game is the next thing to be cleaned up from, because like we mentioned a couple of times already, Mordekaiser from ahead, oppressive. From behind, it's not going to work out.
Absent. And do I know a thing or two about Mordekaiser?
You are a resident Mordekaiser expert.
I'm a resident Mordekaiser, not very good at League of Legends as well, so I do have to play a lot of Mordekaiser games where there's not a lot of being able to do anything good, and that is exactly the position that Prey is in at the moment. Haru going to easily clean up the Cloud Drake with the help of Fly, who's much happier this game. 4-0 and 5 on the Lulu. Leandri's Torment completed, and now going to go for that Banner of Command like you were talking about, a different build, very much so, from our first game.
And it's been nice rotational play from ahead by Fly and Haru. Haru got them ahead, and then they packed up the mid lane, they roamed bot lane. The Aurelion Sol roam never happened this game. It was basically a lane champion. Might as well have been an Orianna, given how the game has gone. When it comes to us being stuck in the mid lane, started early, but everything has fallen into place. When they take away the farming jungle, they put in the active jungler, and they allow what is thought to be by some people to be a dead role in the marksman role. Finally in Korea, after seeing a lot of success for it in China, in Korea we see a very successful visit to the Ezreal. I mean, look at the numbers. It's ludicrous.
Yeah. 11,000 damage already. That's crazy. 17 minutes into this game, and Ruler actually not going to go for the double tier, and I think this is genius, because when are you going to have time to stack up another one when the game could honestly be over in 3 minutes? Ezreal is extraordinarily huge, and with the fact that Blade of the Ruined King is one of the reasons why Ezreal feels buffed on this patch, given it's a little bit cheaper.
And then you point at the Rod of Ages and say, when's that going to be stacked up for the side of BD? It is the new standard itemization for Aurelion Sol, who doesn't go for the GLP anymore, but unfortunately it does accentuate the problems. And speaking of accentuated problems,
yeah, we got a true shot barrage over 2 people, but that's not even going to be it, as Ruler jumps underneath the turret, gets stunned, but it doesn't matter. Devour is there from over the wall for Core JJ. Gorilla not tanky at all on this Shen. Khan is just fighting Cubey, but look, he's just got no opportunity. Stand United comes in, but we barely saw it because it's just not doing enough. But now the paranoia into the backline. Can they actually find the Children of the Grave? No, because Prey's not even in the fight anymore. Not yet, as Haru tries to jump on over, but he's already got 2 kills. He's down low, but who cares, because it's now 5 versus 3.
Outnumbered again. After being second at every moment in game number 1, the same can be accused of Kingzone in this game. With those melee champions can't all pack up and be there instantly. Not the reality of a champion like the Mordekaiser. They lose another structure. The gold lead has now ballooned to 11,000. Waiting for Gen.G, honestly, to close the game. Really little that Kingzone can do.
Yep. Fly now just taunting Prey as well. Haru continues just to clear out the enemy jungle. Kingzone just fighting over scraps. It's over 10,000 gold the lead before 20 minutes.
And now we got a story that we desperately want to see a conclusion to. Now Fly does have something to show for himself in this match against his old organization. Wants to make a point, wants to argue that he should be the starter for the rest of the season, not Crown, the world champion who is currently riding the bench. Based on this particular game where, from ahead, he has looked very comfortable, I guess we shouldn't be so surprised that a new player in a team from ahead can look good, from behind is still struggling to find an identity. See how the Game 3 draft comes together, but there's just nowhere for Kingzone to be, and even if they're the first somewhere, this Ezreal might just decide the game.
Yeah, I have a feeling that this one's in the hands of Ruler. Certainly is extraordinarily strong, but we have to go back to why things were so easy for this bottom lane in the early game as well, and it had a lot to do with Haru, yes, but their vision control on the bottom side river was extraordinary. There was no way for BDD to do the Aurelion Sol things in the laning phase whatsoever. He was just standing in the mid lane trying to clear out waves, and Fly was the one able to get the roams. It was them able to move down towards that bottom side every single time and just dive that lane over and over again.
That's why one of the focuses of the draft can be away from the things we've already mentioned, the soundboard points of Haru's early ganking and the Camille power, and to things like you can't just one-for-one swap in a Shen support for an Alistar support. They're very, very different in terms of reliability and when you have lane presence. And the Shen from behind has given the Mordekaiser nothing. They haven't together been any sort of lane presence. And also Ezreal obviously has a lot more lane presence than the Kog'Maw does early. So the adjustments around lane accentuated by the Camille popping off has meant that they could just control large swaths of the map, and the only time Khan can do anything is when he can see everyone else somewhere on the top of the map.
Yeah, and right now he's just trying to get some damage onto this bottom outer turret. Baron is just going to get started though. Teleport available here for Kingzone if they want a last-ditch effort. The rest of the team is hanging around as we zoom out to have a look.
No control ward yet. Okay, they get one sighting.
Yeah, 2 wards over the wall, and now the teleport is being committed. True shot barrage onto BDD, but that is the only target that he's hit. As Paranoia comes in, can he actually get the smite? No, it's just going to be eaten by Cube, and look at all of this damage. Speaking about eating, the Cho'Gath grabs another one, apprehend onto a couple of members, but they're just too far behind, and Kingzone can't offer anything to this battle. Now a Baron, and there's only 2 men to defend it.
Gen.G want to close it early. They know how they're the feast. They put the trust in the feast. The feast works. Tried to swoop through to Cuz. Had the smite on the way, but it never got in range for him to do so. Gen.G, with nobody dead, will push through the mid lane and look to take at minimum 2 inhibitors.
Yep, should be. Top lane inhibitor turret certainly going to be under fire very soon also, and with the Sheen proc available to Haru, that is going to go down in a very, very small amount of time. Gen.G, 4 members, get rid of this first inhibitor first. Gorilla, he just takes so much damage. The welfare Shen has been a non-factor this game the entire time, and 2 inhibitors very, very easily. Back to the shot for Gen.G, and a very coordinated back time as well.
It's not a game that required any nuance, Atlas. It was very clear exactly why this game went the way that it did. The moment Camille profited so severely, the bot lane and the mid lane, from there it just all flowed so succinctly, and with good teams, that is how this meta is likely to play. If the early game goes to plan, everything should fall into place. Whereas for Kingzone, there's just a finger to be pointed at everyone, even someone like BDD, who's been blameless for the majority of the losses for Kingzone, was a passenger this game, not able to change anything. Double Banner of Command used bot lane. That's going to be a relic of the past, but is something of the present on patch 8.11.
I'm glad that we get to at least see it off with the doubles, and my favorite is the Baroned up bannered melee minion, because remember that attack speed bumper, it's hilarious.
Speaking of melee minions, remember Kingzone have 4 melee champions and an Aurelion Soul trying to deal with double Banner of Command.
I thought you were going to say that they're about as strong as a melee minion, and I have a feeling that that particular melee minion is stronger than almost all of them, as look at him go, wailing on that inhibitor. Now underneath these Nexus turrets, I don't even think Kingzone are safe there. Gorilla, you can still see so squishy. All of these Qs that sneak through from Ruler are going to be meaningful as Prey. He's almost dead already. Paranoia comes down, but they've lost their Mordekaiser at the very beginning of the fight, and the Nocturne is a non-factor. Everyone else just get on the fountain, wait for this one to be over, and Kingzone will have to fight it out in game number 3. The Nexus, such short work, and Gen.G show that you can still play a relatively old style of composition and make it work if you have the right plays early.
And welcome back to the LCK, Haru as well. This is the aggressive Haru, the almost co-MVP of spring season last year. Crown went on to win his teammate, but Haru was, of course, a surprise then, a surprise now as well. A return to form on the Camille. He makes it work, and now we're no closer to knowing who the superior team is between Kingzone, DragonX, and Gen.G. And something like which team chooses a marksman and which team doesn't isn't going to be the influence as we finally see the glad and the glorious re-entrance. It's one we saw coming. We knew that Ezreal, Lucian, these champions could still be considered. The Ezreal comes up big for Ruler.
Yep. Absolutely fantastic. We know getting behind Ruler has been their strategy, but was it going to work on this patch? Didn't in game 1, did in game 2.
Are we going to see Peanut into game number 3?
Ooh.
We see Ruler and Core JJ. They would have had the same amount of time as Peanut has, or do they prefer Cuz, who looked good in game number 1?
Yeah, still a lot of things to work out. A lot of subs available on both sides. It was the subs for Gen.G into game number 2, and now Kingzone. Will it be that Peanut? Not the top lane sub available that they had last time. Rascal not going to find his way back onto the squad for this season, so Khan's certainly going to be playing, but they do have that option to bring it back the veteran jungler for this high-pressure final game of this series, because it might be early in the season, but man, still means a whole lot.
Well,
yeah, okay, I think Ruler probably did the most. Yeah, that's pretty good.
28,000 damage-ish for the side of Kingzone altogether. 21,500 coming through from just Ezreal on the enemy team. And that's with a friend who did more damage than anyone on Kingzone. So that was quite the supremacy shown by the marksman. This is the one, if you're an AD carry player at home, take a picture of this, put it on your wall, print it out. This is something to give you hope.
This is how you should play League. This is how you should end a game if you're playing Ezreal. Most certainly, but we saw the Nocturne almost doing as much damage as the support Shen on the other side. Certainly not the greatest performance on the other side of the Rift for Kingzone. But guys, we do have a short break. Can Kingzone turn it around? Moving to game 3, we'll have to find out afterwards.